I'm happy to announce that I have partnered with a company called betus.com, where basically you can place bets and all that good stuff. And as you can see here, you go to this particular landing page here, and if you use my promo code TKT for the Klown Times, you'll get 125% of the sign-up bonus. As you see there as well, and you can, again, use promo code TKT. You get 125% sign-up bonus, and you can win up to you can bet up to $2,500 by clicking this Join Now button right here. So you can see at the bottom, it's bet on the go. You can bet anywhere, anytime on your mobile device. Get your fast payouts, get paid immediately every time, and live betting, which means you can bet during the game, early and best lines. So remember, folks, go to betus.com where the game begins. Welcome to tonight's tennis edition of the Klown podcast. I'm Scott Burks. Hi. You can check out my sports bar, the Klown Times. That's the name of my sports bar. So the www.theklowntimes.net. You can find me on, let me get this right, Facebook as well. When you're on laptop, desktop, smartphone, wherever it may be, just type it in. You find me there as well. And please consider to like, comment, and subscribe, and share. Sharing is caring. So please continue to do that. And we've been growing the channel a little bit. And you know, a lot of my most popular episodes have been HBCU related podcasts, and believe it or not, tennis. Because like what gets people going, then Black people talking about tennis, right? So anyway, without further ado, welcome my homegirl back. Y'all know her for Real Tennis Fans podcast on YouTube. Janina Reed is back in the house post Australian Open. Hello.
Hello.
That's good stuff. Well, I want to bring you in on this show because we've talked about this one dude many times. A guy who I think is one of the GOATs. He may have entered the GOAT discussion, and that is Raphael Nadal. That, you know, he won his
always been in the GOAT discussion.
But I think he's there now because he's won his 21st. He snuck up on people and won his 21st, which is a record for men, okay? All-time majors. And so he won his, I think his second or third Australian Open.
Second. Don't give him more than he's got.
And I think that's cool because the cool part is this is the Open he has historically the most trouble at. So for him to win his 21st at the Open that's given the most pain in his career had to be pretty special. So he beat your boy, Daniil Medvedev, if I get his last name correct.
Medvedev,
there you go. The bad boy himself.
The bad boy.
One of the few bad boys I actually like because he embraces the black cat. He doesn't give a shit about wearing the black hat. And I respect that. That's what we always say, that's what Novak Djokovic should do. Embrace his inner villain. Embrace it. Let his villain bird's wings fly. Let him fly. That's what my man
fly, Novak, fly.
He beat him in 5 sets. Nadal came from 2 sets down. So basically, Medvedev was just cleaning his clock, and then he just dug deep, as they say that overused phrase. He dug deeper, right?
And my face.
You just don't give a shit. Anyway, the point is, my man came from 2 sets down against the tennis bad boy. He's a damn good player himself. And
he's the number 2 player in the world.
There you go. And so you can't just sniff on that. So my thing is this: there's a discussion on, well, actually an article on ESPN.com right now about Tom Hamilton, who pretty much is like, asked the question, and I ask you the question: is the men's tennis GOAT debate over? Is it over? OVA, is it over? I don't think it is. I think Novak's dumbass will be back in the side whenever he gets his vaccination stuff together. I think he has at least 2 or 3 more titles in him. He's younger than Rafa, so chances are he's going to surpass him. So, but let me just get your thoughts because I know how you feel about Rafa. I know how glowingly you spoke about him in the past. And so I just want to get your take on my guy, Raphael, Nadal.
Raphael Nadal, the Spaniard. All right, let's start at the beginning. Let's start with the match. So I actually watched most of it. I did the wake up at 3:30 in the morning to watch the men's final of the Australian Open.
Yes.
Medvedev, as you say, was cleaning his clock. And it was not that Rafa was playing well. Medvedev was outplaying him. In Medvedev, Rafa. That's hard to do. And then Medvedev kind of went away. And when he dropped the third set, let's listen, Medvedev should have won that match in 3 sets. I have talked about it. I have thought about it. I watched it. I take nothing away from Rafa from winning that. Congratulations to him. Sure. But Medvedev lost that match more than Rafa won it. He was ahead. He was playing well. He was the better of the 2 players for the first 2 sets. And I really think that he got into his own head. And I saw it happening as I was watching it. And then Medvedev gave a very, very transparent interview post-match. And he said something that was so revealing and refreshing to hear from an athlete, because I think that this is something that happens in all sports, but nobody talks about it. He basically admitted to having imposter syndrome. He said that from the time that he was young, when he first started playing tennis and going on the tour and seeing people, that he looked up to who were the pro players, right, he would get starstruck. And then when he started actually playing against them, even if he was playing well, it would creep into his head, am I really good enough? Do I deserve to be here? And he admitted that here I am playing Rafa Nadal at the Australian Open final. I'm winning. Do I really deserve to be this? This is Rafa across the net. And he said that something within him clicked in that moment, in that he's not going to do that anymore. Because honestly, this is something that we have seen from Medvedev in the past. This is the second time that he's lost in a final when he was in a winning position, where it just seems like he went away. There wasn't any apparent injury. Rafa definitely upped his level of play in sets 3, 4, and 5, but Medvedev wasn't the same. So, I mean, a win is a win, no matter how you get it. If it's pretty, if it's ugly, no matter what, a win is a win. Rafa's got 21. The other big accomplishment for this win for Rafa that you didn't mention is he is now holding all Grand Slam titles twice. The only other person to do that is Novak. So what that actually means for anybody not listening is he has won the US Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and now the Australian Open at least twice each in his career. So that's huge. That's Federer hasn't done it, know. There are some players that did it, prior to this generation, sure, but Novak and Rafa are the only ones currently on tour who have done this on the men's side. So, it's a big fucking deal, but it was a good match mostly, but it was actually a really huge disappointment because Medvedev should have won that match. He really should have. He was the better player. He is the better player. He's younger. He's fresher. I heard people, on my Twitter timeline, they're like, oh my God, Rafa looks so tired. Fuck that shit. Rafa don't get tired. Right. Rafa is made for this. Yeah. Every single time Nadal steps on court, be it in a match or practice, he goes full out. If you've ever seen Rafa Nadal in just a practice session, you would think he was playing for a Grand Slam title because he goes full out. He is fit as fuck. He's 35 years old, and I don't know that anybody is as fit as he is on tour. He sacrifices his body for every point, every time. He was not tired. He was just getting outplayed. And then Medvedev got in his own way and ended up losing the match. As far as the GOAT debate, Rafa has always been in the mix of that. He will always be in it. I don't think it will be solved until all three of these people get out on top. I think that we have to recognize the fact that Roger and Rafa set the standard, and
Right.
Novak is chasing that. Novak's a little bit younger, not much. He's 34. Rafa's 35. Federer's 40. He's, anything that we get from Roger Federer at this point is a bonus. Like,
Right.
I mean, we haven't even seen him on court in a long time. So it was good. Good on you, Rafa. He snuck another one in there. He is the leader of the major count. I agree with you. He won't stay there. Novak will come back, and he will, when he's playing, there aren't many people that can beat him.
Sure.
This was an interesting tournament, though. Without him being there, we saw some people excel that probably wouldn't have excelled with Novak in the draw, because A, they may have had to play him and gotten beat down, but B, they have a belief that that's not there when he's there. Nobody wants to say it, but if you're on the side of the draw with Novak Djokovic, you're not fucking winning. Like, it's not happening,
Right.
and then that's what happened with Medvedev. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm playing Rafa, one of the greatest players of all time, and fuck, like, you hear coaches in tennis all the time talk about play point by point. You have to play point by point. You have to be able to forget that you just served 3 double faults in a row. You have to forget that you just lost a set 6-1 or 6-love. You have to be able to stay in the moment. And I really appreciated that Daniil went into press and said, I didn't do that, but I'm done with that, because he is a badass and he can beat any of these guys. I mean, he's got wins over everybody. I'm trying to think in my head. Federer, I don't know that they've played. They probably have, but I feel like Federer's been gone so long that I don't remember. But he can beat any of the top guys. He is a top guy. He belongs there. So I'm excited to see a younger player come up and do the damn thing. And he's also the first guy in a long time to win the US Open as a first-time winner of a major, and then come to the Australian Open and at least make the final. So, he's doing good things. Well, but yeah, good for you, Rafa. Good for fucking you.
Rafa, I'm Team Rafa. I'm there for you, buddy.
Yes, you are.
She ain't, but I'm there for you.
No, she's not.
Well, you mentioned him, like Medvedev. So he's obviously a young man. He's 26 maybe. Yeah, so he's gonna get his. He's eventually gonna get more titles. That's just in there.
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
He's so talented. He's so talented.
He's fast. Medvedev is 6'6" or 6'7". He's very tall.
Yeah, he's tall.
And to be as tall as he is and to move as well as he does on a tennis court, he is fast. It's one of the most underrated aspects of his game. I mean, you could see when he was playing Rafa, like, how the hell did he get to that? Like, he is a speedy little thing to be so tall. He's got a very good all-around game. He's only going to get better at the net, which he's already pretty decent at. So, I mean, I'm excited about it. It's time for Roger and Rafa and Novak to let some other people have their fun.
Well, I just want to just ask, when I brought him up, I was going to ask, where does he go from here? You pretty much laid it out. I mean, again, he's young. He's a young dude. And, his times, I mean, he's going to win more majors, right? I think it's
as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be one of the men to beat on tour. No doubt. Yeah. And he does really, really well on hard court. I'm not sure why his game doesn't translate that well to grass, because grass plays quick and supposedly it's supposed to anyways. He doesn't play that well on clay, but I expect that to get better in time. And if it doesn't, he might have a career like Federer, where he just can't get that elusive French Open title and maybe one day gets one. But
sure,
it is what it is. I think he definitely is at the top to stay there for a long time.
And I tend to agree because they did the sky's the limit with this kid. I really do. And again, I love the fact that he embraces his inner villain, that he doesn't give a shit what you, I, or anybody else think.
I love it.
He cusses out the umpire. He's like a more likable, rational version of John McEnroe. That makes sense. You know, he just
I don't like to compare anybody to John McEnroe.
Well, he was when we were little kids, and I remember my dad. You know, he's old school. He didn't like people who cussed, so which meant that he wasn't a fan of Bobby Knight in basketball, and he wasn't a fan of John McEnroe. He made it abundantly clear. He did not like the fact that to see a guy cuss out the umpire. Cuss out. He's like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
I remember that at Wimbledon. I was real little when he played with Jimmy Connors or someone who they could not stand each other.
You cannot be serious, like his most famous line. You cannot be serious. I am just younger enough than you that I really don't remember that, but of course everybody knows about that if you're, a fan of tennis. I don't really remember seeing him play, but he was definitely tennis's bad boy for a long, long time. He kind of still is as a commentator. He's still a bit of an idiot.
But he's a New Yorker too, who's an asshole. That's the best part about that.
Yes.
An unapologetic New Yorker on top of that.
Yes.
But I'm sounding nostalgic here because I'm gonna mention Roger Federer later. That was during the time where tennis, in my opinion, was probably at its apex because you had a lot of American superstars, the men and women's side, especially the men's side. Excuse me. And, I just mentioned them, McEnroe, Connors, and after them, Sampras, my man from Las Vegas, Agassi, Jim Courier, Michael Chang, and even internationally, Stefan, what's his last name?
Edberg, yes.
And all those guys. I mean, that was like the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. So again, and could have been because you had so many American superstars at that time, and all in their prime around the same time. You know what I'm saying? He had damn Connors and McEnroe in their prime around the same time, and they hated each other, by the way, which was awesome. Then you had Agassi and Sampras, that rivalry. They were in their prime at the same time. Michael Chang played spoiler at the same time, as did Courier at the same time. So, it was so many stars, American superstars. Now, it's still compelling, right? You still have, you still have like Nadal kicking ass at age 35. You have Novak, who won't embrace his villain for some reason, who's kicking ass. And you have Medvedev, who's kicking ass, who really embraces his inner villain. But Federer, he's 40. We haven't seen him in a while. Of course, Andy Murray, he had his health issues. I think he was.
Well, he's back. He played there.
Yeah,
he did play at the Australian Open. He won a couple matches. He's got 2 bionic hips. What's he really gonna do?
Yeah.
But he's back on tour, and he's doing okay. He just, I think, needs a little bit of match play. But he's back. I think that one time when I was here, I think it was Dwayne mentioned that we tend to think that the people in our own age group was the best era, right? Because those are your memories.
Sure.
And I just want to point out that that's what you're doing right now.
Guilty as charged. I don't care. I'm embracing my inner villain.
That's okay.
I don't care.
That's okay. That's okay. But you know what? It is important. It's not important. It's easier to become involved in a sport when you're the superstar of the sport is somebody from your country, and we don't have that now, and we haven't had it for a long time. We have not had an American male who has dominated since Pete Sampras. And who dethroned him, right? Federer. Yeah. So it is what it is. So there's lots of men. There are a lot of men, I think, that we will find who will share the crown, we're not going to see a dominance like we've seen from these guys. We're not going to see that again for a long time, if ever. It's unusual to have 3 people dominate a sport or tennis for decades. I mean, nobody else has been able to win. You can count on one hand and probably not get to 5 how many other people have won a major since Federer started dominating. It's been Federer, it's been Rafa, it's been Novak. Andy Murray has a couple. Stan Wawrinka. And Juan Martin Del Potro. He has a US Open. That's it. And then as they have started coming to the end of their career, Dominic Thiem snuck in and got one. Medvedev has one, but that's now. That's present time.
Sure.
Back when they were dominating, nobody. And a lot of the reason for that was they were ranked 1, 2, 3 in trading those spots for so long. When the draw comes out, 1, 2, and 3 are always going to be in a certain part of the draw. Right. Those positions are always the same. They're not going to move, right? Right. So you, as somebody outside of the top 3, are going to have to go through 2 of them people, 2 of these phenoms in order to win. You can't. When they're all playing well like that, and you have to play, say Federer in a quarterfinal maybe, and then turn around and play Rafa or Novak in a semifinal or final, and you're going to play one of them in a final for sure, and you got to beat 2 of them, you can't do it. Nobody can really do it. The only way that happens, and I'm not just saying, I mean, it's true. The only way that happens is if somebody else takes out one of them first and like kind of does a favor for the rest of the field, because nobody can beat both of them. It doesn't happen. Right. Nobody can beat Rafa and Roger and Novak in one tournament, in a major, in best of 5, and take that title. It has been proven near impossible. So I think when they're gone, we're going to see a lot more sharing of the titles. We're going to see Medvedev win. We're going to see Stefanos Tsitsipas win, the young Greek. We're going to see Alexander Tsitsipas. It just feels good, right? Tsitsipas. And Alexander Zverev, the young German, he's there. There are people who are there who have the star power, right, who have the good game that you will enjoy watching. But tennis has really been just overshadowed by 3 people for so long, you don't know who anybody else is. And the truth is, people still don't know who the fuck Novak Djokovic is. They really don't.
That's too bad, because I kind of worry, to your point, I kind of worry about interest in men's tennis after the big 3, as I call them, hang them up.
Yeah, I don't worry. I really don't.
I know you're a purist. I get you. I should hope that you. Yeah, but I'm talking about general interest. Because people love the big names, and how
they do. Yeah. But another big name will come. It always does in every sport.
Sure.
Every sport. I remember being crushed when Agassi retired and watching his last match at the US Open and just being like, oh my God, who am I going to like? Like, am I even going to like tennis anymore? And then here comes Roger Federer. I mean, I remember Roger Federer before he was anybody, when he had bad highlights in a fucking ponytail, and there was just something about him that I liked. He wasn't winning. He wasn't dominating. There was just something about him. And I mean, that's just the natural progression of sport. If you're a fan of the sport, think back when we had, like, you weren't a Jordan fan, right?
Oh, I can't stand Michael Jordan. He's the Antichrist.
Yeah. I was a Jordan fan. But other people come sure. and you do, it's okay. They'll be fine. People will find somebody else to cheer for.
Yeah, I hear you. Let me ask you this. It just really popped in my head just now because the voices, they speak to me. You mentioned other players on the men's side. We'll get to the women momentarily, but you mentioned players on the men's side, right? we're American. We're proud Americans. We embrace our country with her flaws, and she has many. It's particularly for people who are of our ilk. So
Yes.
let's just. So I said to ask you this question: Is there an American male player that could at least threaten whatever status quo will be after the big three walk away eventually? Is there one out there who's out of playing right now, who's coming up to the system, who's people don't know about, who has a bit of game to him? Is there a cat or two or three or four out there?
There's one.
Okay.
For sure. There's one for sure. I mean, let us not sneeze at Francis Tiafoe.
Sure.
He's still young. We feel like Francis isn't doing anything in his career because he's been around for so long. He's 21. Okay. He's got a long way to go.
Yeah.
So he's still young. I talked a little bit the last time I was here about Maxime Cressy.
Mm-hmm.
He is steadily climbing in the rankings. Okay. He made a nice run at the US Open. He got to the 4th round. That's huge. That can be career changing for a young player because it pays a lot of money. Right. The majors pay a lot of money. So if you can even just win your first round match, you can afford a coach for the year. You can afford to travel more. And people, we've talked about it a little bit, but everything a tennis player does comes out of their own pocket. They pay for their own travel, their own hotel, their own coach, their own physio, everything. Yeah. So when a player who has talent, who maybe hasn't been recognized so much yet, makes it that far, and then they can afford to do the things that they need to do to make their game better. Because let's be real, the number 100 player in the world does not have the same access to training and coaching and a dietitian or whatever it is that Novak Djokovic has, or Roger Federer. Sure, Roger Federer has a fucking private jet. Yeah. He doesn't, need to book a flight. I mean, that's a big deal for the younger players. So, Francis, I have to bring myself back all the time and remember how young he is and that his game is still developing, because I get angry with him and I'm like, you should be better by now, but not really. He's 21. He's very, very young. Maxime Cressy is, he's in his early 20s. He's doing great. And he's playing people. He got some wins at the Australian Open that people did not think that he would get. You probably would really like him. He is a true serve and volley player. He does it almost every point. He's super tall. He's 6'7", 6'8". The ladies will like him because he's gorgeous. He's actually nice. He's not a trumper. And I speak because I've met him. I know him. I got lucky. He played a challenger in Cleveland that I covered, and somehow I just followed him the whole way, and I got to know him and his team a little bit, and they let me kind of follow everything closely. And I can say that he's genuinely a nice person. He's likable. And we don't have a lot of likable American men right now, John Isner, you fucking asshole. Sure. So, Tommy Paul and Tennis Sangren, like, nobody likes them. They're not likable. Francis Tiafoe is super likable. He's so nice.
A lot of people pull from that at the US Open, I think, when he made that.
Oh, and he's so pro-black.
Yeah, unapologetically.
Stand that. He is unapologetically black, and I love that about him. Yeah, he's like, that's right, I'm here for the black people. So yes, they're here. But unfortunately, tennis is a very unforgiving sport. And if you don't win a major, nobody knows who the hell you are. We forget that Francis Tiafoe, year before last, made it to the quarterfinals. That's huge. Yeah. That's huge. But nobody cares because he didn't win. Right. You have to win. Right. Winning covers a multitude of sins. And he's not winning. So, yeah, they're there. They're there. I encourage you, to check out Max. You'll like him. You'll like him a
I will
lot.
do
He has
that.
a good game. He's got an amazing serve, and he's developing. I mean, like, I've really enjoyed watching him grow and watching his game grow. So yeah, we've got people.
We got a guy. We have a guy or two at least,
We
right?
got a guy or two.
Speaking of rankings, I saw that Francis Tiafoe, I think he's ranked 35th or something like that. So, which ain't bad, obviously. He's in the top
It's
50.
not bad. It's just not great.
Right, I get it. I totally get it. And I agree with you. But I just tend to forget he's 21. Wow.
He's young.
He's younger to be my son, your son too.
You know what's really interesting about the rankings right now?
Uh-huh.
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. However, we have the top, I think 5 are all within a little bit of points of each other.
Okay.
We honestly haven't seen this in years.
Mm.
No matter who has been number 1, they have been way ahead of the field.
Sure.
Unless it's been Roger, Rafa, Novak vying back and forth for that number 1 spot.
Okay.
But for the first time in many, many years, like probably 5 at least, we have the possibility of one of 4 or 5 people winning a tournament and actually becoming number 1. Wow. Novak, for so many years, and Roger and Rafa were so far ahead of the field that they couldn't lose their ranking almost. They didn't hardly have to play to keep their ranking because they would be thousands of points ahead of everybody. And right now, it's super tight. So that also shows you that tennis is transitioning, which is good. From that dominance of the top 3, even though Rafa and Novak are still fucking right there. Federer has dropped out of the top 10 for the first time in a long time, or he's actually out of the top 20, I think. Federer? I don't know what his ranking is, but it's low. Yes, it's low, and I'm going to tell you, because he hasn't played.
He hasn't played in a while.
He hasn't played, and when you don't play, your ranking points drop off, and naturally you fall. But I'll tell you what, if he comes back and plays his ranking, I feel bad for some of them other people, because that fucking sucks for somebody who has to play Federer in a first round.
I know.
You know, and they're like, oh shit, I thought I was going to have a good tournament, but now here I am, have to play this guy who somehow is ranked 30 something in the world. That's not supposed to happen. Right. So that'll be interesting when he comes back.
So when do you think he's going to come back? Because I mean to ask you, when will see Federer?
Laver Cup. Well, I think he'll be back for Wimbledon for sure. Okay. I don't think he'll play Roland Garros. Why would he? He knows he doesn't win there. Yeah, he probably will skip that unless he just wants some match play before Wimbledon. But I expect him to do a couple grass tune-ups. If he's not 100%, he won't play. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do the I'm going to try. Right. But we'll see. I expect him to be back for Wimbledon for sure, or shortly before. There is a tournament that was developed by Roger and his team, Laver Cup, where it's like Europe against the world, basically. He sent a tweet to Mr. Raphael Nadal, and it looks like they're going to play doubles there together. Oh, wow. Which they've done before, and it's huge, and people love that shit. And you know what? They genuinely like each other. They're genuinely friendly. So it's always fun to see them in a team aspect and on court together. And it's funny because one year when Rafa wasn't there, but Novak was there, Novak was totally an outsider, and he did not, it just was weird. Like, he didn't fit in. They did not mesh like Roger and Rafa do. So he, at the very least, will be back for Laver Cup to play some doubles, even though that's not to the end of the year, but he'll be back. Yeah.
So Wimbledon, that's the summer, right? I think
it's the summer. It'll be like end of June, early July.
That's what I thought.
Is when it usually is. Yeah.
Because it's usually what? Australia, French, Wimbledon, and US Open.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, cool. Speaking of Federer and Nadal, I remember them playing in an exhibition. This is back when they were really in their primes, right? This is when Nadal was whipping his ass at Roland Garros. And so what they did was they had one side of the court in grass, that was Federer's side, And the other
Oh,
side of the
yes,
court in
yes.
clay, which was
So
the
weird.
also, that was weird and dope too at the same time, because they're
Yeah.
like, which guy on this favorite service would be more, dominant, if you will.
Sure.
But yeah, I could tell from that point, from your point, they were pretty friendly, at least really friendly with each other for
Yeah,
them to
they're
do
very
that.
friendly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to put that on. And I remember shooting Nadal beating veteran at classic 5-set match at Wimbledon for his first Wimbledon title.
I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, I loved it. That was awesome. I mean, the cameras flashing when he fell back first.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something about that match.
Okay.
I think that is the only time in my long sports loving career of any sport that I cried when someone lost.
Oh, wow.
That broke my heart.
Oh, wow.
When Federer lost that match.
Wow.
I've not cried again, and I never cried before, because that's just not, like, I don't approach sports that way.
Sure.
When it's over, I move on. But yeah, that win was brutal. You're talking about the one where it was like dark, right?
Yes.
They just kept playing.
Yes.
That was horrible.
Yes. So you tell me, you as a Clevelander, you tell me that if the Browns were to miraculously, by witchcraft or whatever, end up winning the Super Bowl, you wouldn't cry? No. Really?
You know what? I shouldn't say that. I'm much more likely to cry because I'm happy over a win than I would be over a loss. I don't cry over losses. So let me clarify. That's the only time I've ever cried over a loss.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Because
when Federer won the Australian Open in 2017 over Rafa, when he was down a break in the 5th set and had already served for it, and every Federer fan I know was resigned that here we go again, Roger's going to lose another fucking final to Rafa, and he won. I might have shed a couple tears on that win, because that was unexpected and so fun. I mean, honestly, 2017 seems so long ago, but really, even at that point, nobody expected Federer to even win another major. He's always a contender, but you have Rafa and Novak, so you just kind of, Federer's 5 years older than them.
Right.
That's a big deal in sports. That's huge.
Well,
so that was a very, that was a sweet, fun, unexpected victory. Loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm about to say, you tell me, because I live in Cincinnati, and people cry like, grown men cry like babies.
Well, yes,
Cincinnati
y'all
made the Super Bowl.
That.
But still, the point is, they've endured decades and decades of futility. So,
hey, listen, Cleveland.
Yeah, there you go. The last time the Bengals made the Super Bowl, we were teenagers and children. And so a lot of them
the Browns have been in the Super Bowl in my lifetime.
Exactly.
I don't think they have.
No, they haven't. They last won a title in 1960, whatever the hell it was. We weren't alive.
There you go. That's pathetic.
So say, I know you and other many Clevelanders would be shedding hella tears if the Browns were to, whatever witchcraft they were using that year, and they won the Super Bowl, more or less making one. Yeah, y'all wouldn't be ready for that. But anyway, enough about the Brownies. So let's go to the women's side. Ash Barty pulled it off, right? She was she the first Australian lady in a long time to win the Australian
Open? In a long time. It was a good tournament for Australia, let me tell you.
Yeah.
She won in Australia. Nick Kyrgios in Kokonakis won the men's doubles.
Yes.
So that was,
they were hype over that. Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
I love that they did that. I love it. I hope they continue to play together.
They seem to enjoy each other.
Yeah, for sure. But they're both singles players first, and a lot of single players, they don't play doubles all the time because that's too much tennis.
Right.
So we'll see. But you know what? I did not get up for the Ash Barty match. I slept straight through that shit. I knew she was gonna win. I was kind of hoping Collins could come through.
Sure.
Apparently, it is my understanding that Collins was in a winning position. She served for the match twice. She was up 5-1 to win the match. And she was carrying a back injury the entire tournament. I don't know how much you saw her, but she never sat down. when she started a match, she never sat down. On the changeovers, everything, she never sat down. Apparently that's because her back was bothering her.
Right.
So I think she just hit a wall. It wasn't a mental breakdown like, oh shit, I might win, kind of like Medvedev did, but she was injured and she just hit a wall and couldn't do anymore, which is disappointing. But I think we'll see a lot more of Collins.
Sure.
Listen, that bitch is crazy. Tournament. She had an amazing tournament. Yeah. But Lord, she's entertaining, if nothing else. She's a firecracker. So I can totally get behind Danielle Collins. Ash Barty, again, a win is a win. She doesn't do anything for me. Period. I don't love her game. She doesn't exude a lot of personality. The most enjoyable thing I've ever gotten out of Ash Barty was in press one time. She flat out said to us, I'm not going to answer that because you're the press and you'll twist my words and I know better. And I was like, good on you, girl, because it's true, you know. The press is not your friend. They're here to, do whatever with whatever you say. That's my favorite Ash Barty memory. It's not her tennis. I don't care for her tennis. And you can never, you play who you play. You have no control over it. She's not beating top women to win these majors. And that's been the luck of the draw for her.
Sure.
So I don't know. Yeah. Congratulations, Ash.
That's the most petty congratulatory line I ever heard in my life.
I really just don't care. Like, I don't care about her at all. I had no desire to watch it. I didn't watch one of her matches the entire tournament. And not because I avoided them, probably because they were night matches, which for me is 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. So, I mean, she's no Serena. I'm not getting up for that shit.
Well, who is Serena? I mean, come on. Maybe Osaka, Naomi Osaka, and a few others.
No. I would get up for Coco. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, speaking of which.
Who had a horrible tournament.
Yes.
Went down in fucking flames in round one. But you know what? Again, that's okay. She's a teenager. So we're gonna let her have her ups and downs.
Yeah.
Yes. It's okay.
I really like her.
She will be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely she will be, because she's what, 16, 17 now?
Probably 17, closer to 18, I would think. But yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, she's not. She's
baby.
She's not getting close to a prime yet. I have a feeling when she hits her prime years, Lord have mercy. I mean, she has the skills. We know she has the game to do it. It's just experience. It's going to take some time. And we tend to forget. We tend to measure everybody up against the likes of Serena Williams and the big sisters Venus, because they did it when they started as teenagers, right? Yeah. And then they got into their primes into the mid late 20s. And Serena, her prime was extended past into her 30s in a while. She was so damn dominant.
Yeah, it lasted 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of Serena, I know that she's taken time off to be a mom and businesswoman, everything else. I know she had an injury or two when was the last match she competed in?
I don't know. I feel like it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Did she play the US Open? I don't
think she did.
Scotty, I don't know. I don't think she did either. Maybe Wimbledon. I really don't. The schedule was so wonky last year. Like, things happened in weird months when they don't normally happen. And I was so disconnected from tennis last year. So I don't know, but it's been a long time. She was trying to play the Australian Open, but she withdrew. She was in the draw and then she withdrew. She said, I'm not ready. My body's not ready. Saw a video of her recently playing with her sweet little girl. She looks fit as fuck. So she's definitely working. And she's, posting videos, and Patrick Martoglu is posting videos, her coach, of them working out. So she's definitely planning on coming back. But let us remember, before we get on that high Serena train, like she's going to come back and dominate, Serena is 40 or 41.
Yeah.
So, everything we get with her is a bonus along with Federer. I would love to see them both come back at Wimbledon and win it together. After Wimbledon has a ball. They have a champions ball, and the champions dance together.
Nice.
I want them together again. We
That would
haven't
be
had
dope.
that for a long, long time.
That would be dope. That would be dope.
And then they could both retire. I'd be fine with it.
They'll retire together too. They're just, you know what? Yeah.
Peace out.
It's just that in Serena's case, which is kind of bittersweet because her undoing could be at the hands, could have been again, we don't know how she'll be when she comes back, right? But her undoing could be at the hands of a person who not only looks up to her, present tense, but she reminds us of a younger version of herself, and that's Naomi Osaka.
Mm-hmm. But isn't that the case in every sport with every young person?
Yeah.
Isn't it really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Naomi Osaka was like Serena years ago, right? I mean, it's like a younger version of it. She played a younger version of herself and trained the same way, literally carbon copied Serena's career in terms of preparation, coaching.
I mean, it's a good person to coach or to copy.
Yeah.
It's a good person to model yourself after, for sure. But I mean, that's okay. I'm fine with that. I like Osaka enough.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little inconsistent, and she's I don't know how old she is. She's young, but she's not that young.
She's not 30 yet. I don't think she's 30 yet.
No. She's in her early 20s. But
that's what I thought. Yeah.
She has a consistency issue. That's Osaka's problem. And I don't know that it's really a problem. I mean, she's doing well. She didn't have the Australian Open that she hoped that she would have, but that's all right.
Yeah, she also has those demons at the French Open too. It's like the French Open humbles a lot of folks, right? It's like it's just we'll talk about more once we approach the French Open. But it's just something about that damn surface. We'll get more.
It's slow. Yeah. It's slow. Yeah. So many of these players can hit their way through the court and just whack that ball, and you can't handle it. But when it hits the clay, it just neutralizes everything. That's why people don't do well on clay.
Right. Except for Raphael Nadal.
Because he's a fucking machine.
Yeah. He's a machine.
He's a fucking machine. A well-oiled machine. I would like to know what components go into that machine.
Oh my. Come on now. You're not accusing my boy of PEDs, are you?
I'm not saying anything because I know better than to say that on a podcast.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah.
I know better than that. Yeah. I'm just saying that he's a well-oiled machine.
Awesome. Like, you heard from Janina lately? I'm sorry. Anywho, gosh, you touched on Collins earlier. We're talking about going back to American women. You touched on Collins. You touched on Coco. Madison Keys, she had a pretty good tournament.
Yeah, she got her ass beat by Ash Barty.
The way you said it, so dismissive, so disrespectful.
So the good thing about this tournament for Madison Keys is she did not try to overpower her way with every player. We actually saw her constructing points and trying some different things because she's a huge hitter. She hits a really hard, heavy ball, a fast ball. She's got a huge serve, but she seemed to be more than that this time, so that's good. But Ash Barty is a very crafty player. She hits you with all these crazy angles and different types of shots and spins and whatever, where Madison will just pow the ball. And that's why she lost, because you have to you can't just beat everybody off the court. And it's like she played this great tournament and did lots of different things until maybe she got to Ash Barty. I don't know. I wasn't getting up to watch that either.
Of course not. He's just mad up.
Listen, there used to be this hashtag that went along with the Australian Open, no matter when you tweeted about it, called "Sleep is for the Weak."
Yes.
Because Australia is in this weird place in the world, and the time zone
15
doesn't match
hours
up for
ahead.
anything
Yeah.
other than Asia. Like that's
Yeah.
it. So no, wherever the West Coast, it's okay. You get a little bit more, but us
Right.
East Coasters, it is rough. And I
Right.
am too old for sleep is for the weak.
Mhm.
I'm too old for that
You,
now. I can't do it.
yeah, you're too old for that shit, right? I mean, I am too. I'm too old for that shit.
I gotta
I can't pull
sleep.
all nights anymore.
I mean, I used to take naps and get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and
Mhm.
watch it until, go to sleep at midnight because that's when the day session was ending,
Right.
and sleep for a few hours and get up and watch it again at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I used to do that all the time. But yeah, I'm old now. I can't do
Mhm.
that anymore.
Right. Right. So we'll get you out on this. People like to hop from who are not as familiar with tennis, who like to hop from major to major to major, right? And forget that there's some other tournaments in between, some that are pretty big deals in their own rights. Like, for example, the Western and Southern Open before the US Open. It's
Yeah.
like a tune-up, but it's like it's not something that you sniff over. It's kind of a big deal in and of itself.
It's a very big deal. It's a Masters 1000 event.
Yeah, and on a smaller scale, the Winston-Salem Open, it's not the Western Southern Open, but it's not a clown college type open either. But
Right.
so what I say is trying to say is this: like tournaments to watch for the layman tennis fan, right? If you will,
Yeah,
the
for
tournaments
sure.
to look for before the French Open, which is the next major. So what should we be looking for?
So we're gonna have Miami.
Okay.
We will have Indian Wells.
Okay. Right.
Those are both spring tournaments. Listen, the clay court season is my least favorite season.
Mm.
It is where I tend to check out for a little bit, but there are some tune-ups. There's a tournament in Madrid, and a lot of players play it, but I'm really not sure why, because the surface is nothing like Roland Garros. But it's clay, but it's like so different.
Okay.
And I don't, the players bitch about it, and that is so different. But yet they continue to go. There's Monte Carlo is a clay tournament tune-up that
Oh.
players use.
Okay.
There's clay is a very long season, and if you like clay, it's a tennis lover's dream because it lasts for fucking ever. There are probably more clay court tournaments than any other. Their hard is the most because that's US Open and Australian Open, but as far
Sure.
as like a season goes, we go from hard court to clay court to grass court back to hard court. And
Mm-hmm.
because there really isn't an off season in tennis, like the official off season in tennis between 2021 and 2022 was only 2 weeks. So the hard court season really feels long, and the grass court season's like this big.
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's like 2 to 3 tournaments if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So clay is all over the place, and that's all we're going to see here shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, mm, mm.
You sound so
What
enthused,
what
so pumped
what
for
we're
it.
going to see is Rafa piling on his dominance at these clay court tournaments.
I'm all
That's
for
what we're
it.
about to see.
I'm all for
That's
it.
what we're about to see.
Yes.
He will be going for his 15th French Open. So I'm thinking that really what's happening right now is he is whispering in the ear to somebody who he's got some connections with to make sure that players have to be vaccinated in order to come play so that Novak can't show up, because Novak is the only person who can beat him on
Right.
clay.
Understandable. Understandable. But the thing is, which leads me back to this clown. He wants to play, right? He wants to win. So why down a hill, similar to Kyrie Irving, why down the hill? That's not going to end well for you.
So listen, I am intrigued, to say the least. Apparently, within the next 7 to 10 days, Novak is going to come out and talk about his side of what happened
Of course.
for the Australian Open.
Of course.
Um, So we'll see what he has to say about that. There's been, last time when we talked about you having to be vaccinated to play at Roland Garros.
Sure.
That's kind of up in the air. Things change day by day.
Right.
He does officially live in Europe, and the rules can be a little bit different when you are a citizen. From country to country in Europe is a little bit different than going from the States to Europe.
Sure.
Their borders are more relaxed, right? So
Yeah.
I don't really know how, because I think one thing that people don't realize, and we didn't really talk about, Novak totally could have played the Australian Open if he would have showed up in Australia early enough and quarantined and just got tested. But he didn't do that. And he ran out of time to be able to do that. He showed up too late. So there's a possibility that he goes to Paris and, if he's still not vaccinated, then he quarantines or does whatever he has to do to play. I don't think he's going to get vaccinated. I think that's ultimately going to just really fuck him over. But the truth is he's investing in some sort of weird COVID medication.
Not that horse
or
shit,
something.
is it?
No, this is new. This isn't ivermectin, but he has invested in some developmental research for fighting COVID. So it really would be counterintuitive to him investing in that to get vaccinated at this point.
I just wonder. I wonder, this is the setup of like what it's going to be like during the zombie apocalypse, which I think is going to be real. I mean, when you see people walk around zombified, are you going to see really these same assholes out here going, I'm not getting vaccinated, it's against my rights. You going to really become a zombie, rather be a zombie than get your ass. I mean, what if people said the same thing during the smallpox outbreak, during like the Spanish flu outbreak, when we were growing up, like the measles? Like, what if people said that then?
Well, we'd be fucked right now.
Exactly.
Because we'd still have these diseases.
Yes.
All over the place.
Come on, y'all.
When the smallpox vaccine came out, the inventor of that vaccine was hailed as a hero. There were parades.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people were lining up in droves to get that vaccine. Nobody questioned it. Kids came home from school and they're like, I got my polio, or, well, not smallpox, I mean polio. I'm talking about polio because that's more our lifetime. Right. But they would come home from school and be like, I got my polio vaccine. Parents didn't give permission. They were at school. You got your fucking vaccine. Nobody questioned it. I'm not saying that that's okay, but I'm just saying that to say the attitude was completely different. I mean, there was like a ticker tape parade for the polio vaccine guy.
Yeah.
The difference, I think, is real quick, and we're not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I think the difference is that vaccine eradicated a disease. We don't really see it anymore. Although be careful, because a lot of Middle Eastern kids don't have it, and you can actually spread it with being asymptomatic. You can shed polio virus, and we have all these refugees going into all of these other places of the world who are not vaccinated against polio. So we're going to possibly see a little uptick in that. But my point was, the polio vaccine basically got rid of a disease. Right. The COVID vaccine is not. It is protecting you from severe disease. So when people hear vaccine, they think, oh, it's going to go away, right? It's not. And that's not how it works with this one. And that's okay. We have lots of vaccines like that. But it takes away that understanding, and it just makes people turn into fucking stupid zombies that don't want to get the shot. Yeah. Get your fucking shot.
I'm telling you, I mean, we're seeing a precursor of what's going to happen if there's a zombie, if there's a zombie, whatever, infection.
I will tell you, if this reaches one unvaccinated person, I will tell you, as a person that works in healthcare at one of the largest hospital systems in Cleveland, the people who are in our ICUs, in my hospital, in the Cleveland Clinic, in all the big hospitals, and probably for you, Mercy, they are the unvaccinated, period. That's who the COVID patients are filling up the hospitals, are the unvaccinated. So if you want to continue to take that risk with your life and be selfish, taking that risk with those around you, shame on you.
Well said,
That's
sister.
it.
And on that note, we'll call it. Thank you all for tuning into tonight's podcast, wrapping up the 2022 Australian Open with a little vaccine talk. So please check out my friend Janina. Janina, please tell the folks out there once again where they can check out y'all's podcast.
I am part of the Real Tennis Fan podcast crew, and you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Podbean, whatever you like. We're everywhere.
There you go.
Come listen to Black people talk about tennis.
There you go. That's the tagline. But Black folks, well, actually, Negroes talking tennis. So there you go. And speaking of Negroes, please check me out on the Klown Times sports blog, www.theclowntimes.net. Please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe because you'll be glad you did. And one last thing, get the merch, cafepress.com. Search for the Klown Times Sports. That link will be in the description when I upload this to YouTube tomorrow. You found it there as well. Thank y'all again for tuning in. Take care until next time. And be warm because it's a snowstorm here. There's an ice storm here in Cincinnati. So please stay warm. Be careful. Get your ass vaccinated. We out.